Hi there, Newport Florist class of Fundamentals of Design. This is your second installment of slideshows for your 108 plants and flowers to memorize for the class. We are starting it off with a chrysanthemum, which is called the standard chrysanthemum. This chrysanthemum is one of the types of mums that has only one large blossom per stem. The daisy mum that was in our slideshow last week was one of three types of mums that have multiple small blossoms per stem. There's daisy mums, button mums, and cushion mums. They all have several small blossoms per stem, but standard chrysanthemums have one large blossom, approximately 4 to 6 inches in diameter across, so they're nice big focal flowers. As far as I know, they're only available in whites, lavenders, and autumn tones, and they are available year-round. The second flower for this week's slideshow is Dahlia. So there are so many colors and sizes and shapes and types of dahlias. I'll just show you a couple. Dahlias, just like standard chrysanthemums, are typically a focal flower, although some of the smaller ones you could just use as fillers here and there. But most of the time their blossoms are 3 to 6 inches across. There's some great big dahlias called dinner plate dahlias, such as the cafe au lait dahlia, that are 10 to 12 inches in diameter, and those are real showstoppers. Most of the time at the flower shop, I price dahlias by their size, and a rough guideline is however many inches in diameter, that's how many dollars per stem they are. For instance, if you have a 6-inch diameter dahlia, that dahlia runs $6. Dahlias are available in whites and blushes, creams, ivories, oranges, yellows, reds, two-tone, lots and lots of different colors. Dahlias are a popular Oregon-grown flower or locally grown flower, and they are available in the summer and fall, and they don't really ship well because they have such big heads that aren't really conducive to being shipped long distances, so they're a better locally grown flower. The next flower is iris. Iris is a linear flower because it is often used tall and to create lines. Iris are available mostly in the spring in terms of locally grown iris. They're available in whites, purples, and blues. They're available on the world market pretty much year-round, so they're pretty much available at any time, but the really good ones are locally grown, and they're in the springtime. And iris are $3 a stem. Carnation are one of the most widely recognized flowers in floriculture. I would say second after roses. They have got kind of a bad rap in the last, I would say, 20 years because grocery stores and different organizations have used them in really unartistic and gross ways and have kind of given them a bad reputation. So a lot of folks will say, no, carnations are mums, because they think of them as a cheap, crummy flower. But they're actually quite charming in a lot of ways. For one thing, they last a really long time. For another thing, they are nostalgic because they kind of harken back to an earlier era. And for a third thing, the ones that are locally grown have a wonderful fragrance if you can get your hands on some of them, which often you cannot, but they're a wonderful flower. They are very... So carnations are a very versatile and inexpensive flower that can be used in a beautiful way if they are used by someone who is practicing good artistry and thinking about the ways that carnations are being used rather than just quickly shoving them into a vase like they kind of do at the grocery store. Pearly Everlasting is a white filler flower. It has a tiny yellow center. I would put it in the same category as Baby's Breath or Queen Anne's Lace. It's a small flower that can be tucked in here and there to fill in holes in arrangements. I don't really care for Baby's Breath. It's fine, but it's actually quite expensive. It used to be very inexpensive, but in recent years it's become quite expensive. So I kind of always opt for more unusual and local options for white filler, and this is one of those. Zinnia is a wonderful locally grown flower. They come in such a diverse range of colors, almost as many as dahlias. Pinks, whites, yellows, oranges, and greens, and everywhere in between. They are available in the summer and the fall. They're not available on the world market, just locally, and they range in price from $2 to $3 a stem. During the summertime, I prefer to use zinnias over like Gerber daisies or something like that, because number one, they're locally grown, so that supports the local economy, but number two, they're very long lasting. These aren't the most beautiful specimens. It's starting to get towards the end of the zinnia harvest at Green Gable Gardens, so these are kind of not the best ones, but they can be quite beautiful. And they run between $2 and $3 a stem. Gumprina, otherwise known as globe amaranthus. So this is the flower that I misidentified last week as globe celosia. It's actually in the amaranthus family, so sorry about that. Gumprina is locally grown. It comes in whites, pinks, reds, corals, purples, and it is available in the fall and summer. I've never seen it on the world market. I've only seen it locally grown. And I use it as a filler because it's kind of a tiny little flower. It's usually about, the blossoms are about a ½ inch wide. And yeah, that's that. Snapdragons are another linear flower. They are generally tall and slender and have a curve to them. They usually run $4 a stem, sometimes a little less in the summer. They are both locally grown as well as grown on the world market. The local ones are absolutely charming. They're just so much more beautiful. But they come in whites, pinks, yellows, orange that is variegated with pink, a kind of lavender color, and I think that's it. Oh, burgundy. And yeah. Delphinium is another linear flower. They are tall and slender most of the time. There's two primary types of delphinium: belladonna delphinium, which is what you see here, as well as hybrid delphinium. And the hybrid delphinium has much bigger blossoms, much more tightly packed blossoms, so the stems are really super duper full of blossoms, and the hybrid are really super tall. They are amazing. But this style of delphinium is very beautiful and useful. Delphinium comes most of the time in light blue and dark blue in the belladonna form. The hybrids come in whites, pinks, lavenders, blues, and lots of shades in between. The local delphiniums are available in the summer, and the world market has delphinium usually year-round, and they run $4 a stem. Hydrangea is one of those flowers that I almost didn't put in the video because I think that everyone in our part of the world knows what hydrangea is because it's so abundant here in coastal Oregon. But it is a wonderful focal flower. It comes in whites, blues, purples, pinks, and even some burnt red and real rustic colors. It's available, gosh, I'd say summer and fall primarily, a little bit in the spring. And at least locally, and then it's available year-round on the world market. And I price it the same way I price dahlias. However many inches across the blossom is typically the stem price of hydrangeas. So if it's 4 inches across, it's a $4 stem. Baby blue eucalyptus is one of those things that is absolutely quintessential in a flower shop. The fragrance is something that you will find in common with every flower shop that you step into. I rarely go to a flower shop where I do not detect the smell of baby blue eucalyptus. It's clean, it's fresh, it's just transcendent. I love it. Baby blue eucalyptus is another linear type of greenery, and it is, gosh, I would have a hard time saying the seasons, pretty much year round. It's not grown locally. It's mostly grown in Southern California. And the stem price really depends on how big or how many branches you get off the primary stem. A great big branch, I'd say about $6. Smaller branch, about $1. Gunny eucalyptus is another wonderful green that I love to use. It is small leafed, and the stems have a center stem with lots of laterals that branch off from the center stem. And those laterals are really good because you can cut them off and use them in bridal bouquets, in boutonnieres, in corsages. So because of their smaller leaf size, they're a little bit more delicate than some of the other types of eucalyptus. There are 4 primary types of eucalyptus I like to use. There's gunny euc, baby blue euc, seeded euc, and silver dollar euc. I actually don't know the type of eucalyptus that grows here locally. I would say it most closely resembles baby blue euc, but it's not that kind. I actually don't know what kind it is. There's hundreds of types of eucalyptus. But yeah, gunny euc is really popular in wedding work because of its pale grayish, bluish green color, and it pairs really well with whites and ivories and peaches and, flesh tones and that kind of color palette. So gunny eucalyptus is the last one on today's slideshow. I hope you guys enjoyed the second slideshow, and I will look forward to seeing you at class.